So today in the Irish Family Court we have woman fails in bid for sole custody of daughters.
The gatekeeper slammed the door in my face. I let you see your children when you've learned to know your place. You've got no rights, no rights when you talk to me. I bore them, I own them, only I decide what will be.
So a woman fails in a bid for sole custody of daughters. A woman argued that her estranged husband promised to return the children after her house was refurbished. The husband vehemently denies this. The case concerning the day-to-day care of children. The judge says the main concerns are their welfare. In the Cork Circuit Court, a woman failed in her bid to have day-to-day care of her children transferred back to her. The judge heard that she and her husband had married in 1996. 1996. Wow, that's not long ago. And had 2 daughters. This is a very, very short marriage, isn't it? 1996. This is 2008, so it's 12 years. Well, I guess 12 years is long enough actually for a marriage. Yeah. It's not hugely long marriage. 12 years. It's actually less, about 10 years. The children had been mainly living with their father because when the couple separated, the wife and her left the family home and left the children with her husband. Okay, so she left the family home. She left the children. She left the children with the husband. The husband looked after the children. She then moved to a house which needed a lot of work. She claimed that her husband had agreed to give her the children back to her once the house was done up. Her husband said that he agreed to no such thing. So that's interesting. There's a difference of opinion on what they agreed to here. You would have to, in my mind, I would have to say it's hearsay whether the husband said that or not. Unless there's any kind of proof. It's not something you can bring to a court, is it? You can't really, like if you rob a bank, you can't really go to a court and say, well, someone told me that the guy I was with just told me that we were going into make a deposit and I didn't realise that he was robbing until I get in there. And we need some sort of proof, surely. The wife generally had her daughters for the weekends. Her previous solicitor had told her that she was entitled to have the children full time, and acting on this advice, she did not return the girls one Sunday. Okay, so it sounds like she picked up the girls one weekend and just one Sunday decided not to drop them back. Whether a solicitor said that or not, I think she at least owes her husband a courtesy to let him know that she's not going to they're not going to be back on the Sunday. Her husband then took her to court, where he was left as the main carer for the children, and his wife was formally granted weekend access, and later was granted a week at night also. The wife had just moved into a house that was within a few miles of the family home, and was asking for the court to transfer primary care to the girls from her husband back to her. So she left the home after a breakup, and we later find out she was having an affair when she left. She moved into a house, she left her children there with the husband, and then she decided a little while after that she wanted primary care from her husband to take the kids back from the husband. And the husband, in fact, she didn't even ask her husband about that. She just kept them one weekend. And the husband took her to court. I'm really glad that I think just to take kids and not drop them back is pretty tough without talking to somebody. And I'm really glad that the husband had the good sense to not get upset or angry, but to deal with through the courts. It's it can be tough dealing through the courts as well. A lot of the time, but it seems like he kept his cool and he dealt with it the right way. I know if someone took my kids and didn't bring them back to me, I'd be very, very upset. The wife had just moved into a house a few miles from the family home and was asked in the court to transfer primary care for the girls from her husband back to her. Her husband claimed that she left because she was having an affair. The wife said that the marriage was over long before the affair began. Well, that's interesting. So she saw the marriage as over and began having an affair, but I don't think a marriage is over until you have a divorce. So I don't know if you can. The marriage wasn't actually over while the affair began. When the affair began, if the divorce hadn't gone through. The wife told the court that the marriage had been very difficult for a number of years before she left. She recalled telling her husband that she was having a miscarriage. She said that he told her he would call a taxi for her instead of bringing her to the hospital himself. The marriage went downhill from there. The couple tried counselling but to no avail. They went on holidays and decided between them that the marriage just could not be saved. Okay, so for me, when a marriage breaks up, there's always hundreds and hundreds of little things that are problematic. For me, when I'm reading this, the husband is being very good. He's not saying anything personal about her. He's not trying to denigrate her in any way, which would tell me that in front of the children he won't do that either. It looks to me like here she is trying to poison the well, making out that he's a bad guy. I don't know what happened with this miscarriage. I don't know the backstory, obviously. But I don't. Is it really relevant that is it really relevant to the whether she gets the kids or not? And if she's willing to say things like that in the court, you can be sure she's saying it to lots of other people, including the kids. So that would be worrying a little bit. Okay, the couple tried counselling but to no avail, and they went on holiday and decided between them that a marriage could just not be saved. The wife claimed they agreed she should move out of the family home, which was owned by her husband's mother, and that her daughters would move in with her when September came around. By that stage, her house would be done up and the children could start school. This man is very, very lucky. He's very lucky that he didn't own the house, because if he did own the house, he would have had. She could have had the affair, and then got him pushed out of the house. But the fact that he didn't own the house meant that she couldn't do that to him. Because she can't get his mother's house off him. So he's quite lucky in that way. And it also meant he could hold on to his kids, which is wow. I'd give up a house and a job and all kinds of money to hold on to my kids, but that for me, keeping the connection with your kids is the main thing, because when they're here with you, when the kids are here with you every day and you're driving to school and you're talking to them and you're spending time with them, you can just feel that connection with them, and it's there all the time, and every day you're spending time with them, it's growing and growing. And as soon as you don't see them anymore, I'm not saying the connection disappears straight away, but if those kids are somewhere else, they don't see you from day to day, you're not doing your day-to-day things with them, and the connection does dwindle, and it's very hard to build that up again. Although of course it depends on how you were with them when they were very, very small, because if you were very close to them, from the ages of 1 to 5, that will stick with them through all kinds of things, because that goes into the unconscious. That's they know you're there for them. They know this person is here to protect them. He's here to look after them, and he's not going to be taken away from them. He's not going to go. No one can make him go away. So if you do have that, that is important. If you do get pushed out of your home, or if you do I've read some of these stories where men can't see their kids for a year, 2, 3 years. Um, Whereas this an interesting case is kind of the other way around, where the man is left with the kids. But interestingly, he's not bad-mouthing the mother to the kids. And from reading this, right, I don't know everything that's going on. Obviously, we can only go from what we're reading. And also, he is not looking for any kind of maintenance from the mother to look after the kids. And he is also, he's also making sure she sees them regularly. Every weekend, even after she didn't bother dropping them back and kept them in the house and wouldn't give them back to him, he's still making sure that she sees them regularly. So, in my mind, he's acted very honourably in this situation. And it's not only honourably; it's what the kids need. And no matter what goes on, the kids need still their connection with the mother and a connection with the father. So, he's done the right thing by them. When September arrived, the husband refused. When September arrived, the husband refused to hand over the girls. Alright, yeah. So the wife claimed that they agreed that she should move out of the family home because it was owned by the husband's mother, and the daughters would move in with her when September came around. By that stage, the house would be done up, and the children could start school in her locality. So she said that she would go spend some time away. This is her story, that she would go spend some time away from the kids and get a house ready, and when the house was ready he would just hand them over. And that's her story. And his story is that no, that was never what the agreement was, that she had an affair and she disappeared, and now she's changing her mind and she just wants him to hand the kids over to her after him looking after them for while she was, while she disappeared and everything else. And when September arrived, she's saying when September arrived, the husband refused to hand over the girls. The woman broke down and said, "I'm their mum. I should be minding them. They have things they need to talk to the mother about. When they're sick, other people mind them." Okay, absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. They do have things they need to talk to their mother about. They also have things they need to talk to their father about. There's very, very good studies to show that girls have a good connection with their fathers, have better sexual health. They're older when they, and people can have sex whatever age they want to, but in general, the girls are older and when they start having sex, and they also tend to have more positive relationships with other men, in relationships they're with. So the connection to the dad is really, really important. But both of them, but if one person has an affair and disappears, it's really, again, muddying the waters to say, well, do you have to talk to me about things, which is more important than who do you have to talk to anybody else about. She really made her own situation here. It sounds like the husband wanted to stay with her and keep the family together, and she didn't, and she had the affair. So she really has made her own situation, and I think it's a little bit kind of rich now to say that they should be with her. Only he's also paying all the bills. It would seem like it doesn't mention any bills here, but I'm sure if there was any maintenance order, it would be in here as well. So the wife intended to return to college in October. The judge asked her how she planned to mind the children. She said that the course she was interested in took place mainly during the day when the girls would be at school. The husband's barrister then addressed the court, saying that his client vehemently disagreed with his wife's version of events. So basically he's saying she's making everything up. His client had done everything he could to assist his wife after the miscarriage and never ever agreed to give his daughters over to her. So yeah, so his version of events is that he did everything he could for his wife during the miscarriage. Her version of events was that he was, he couldn't be bothered bringing her in, and decided to call a taxi for her instead. Who knows? I think it's irrelevant, really. It's just muddying the waters and trying to affect people's characters, which I think really is not really kind of relevant to where the kids should be. The court heard that the wife had a degree from a prestigious university, so there was no need for her to return to college. He then put it to the wife that when push came to shove, she left her husband because she left, but her husband stayed and organised his life around the children. Absolutely true. That's a fact. I don't think anyone could disagree with that. The husband did stay. The husband did organise his life around the children, and for me, the husband had his priorities in the right place. The husband also wasn't having an affair, and then, and I understand it's no fault of divorce and nobody's fault, and you can have affairs, you can have sex with who you want, but it is relevant. For me, it is relevant. In the court, it's not relevant, but for me, it's relevant. If you're going having sex with other people and leaving the home, it's a little bit rich to turn around later on and expect someone to hand the kids over to you after they've been looking after them for a certain amount of time. And I'm really glad that it looks like the court made a good decision in this particular case. The husband told the court that the agreement had always been that the wife would get the children at the weekends and also have access one night during the week. Judge Murphy said that the husband that the natural inclination of the court was to give custody to mothers, especially when girls are involved. Why? Why would that be the natural inclination of a court? That's ridiculous. I've no idea why, but that seems like a ridiculous statement. I have proven for the last 3 years that I have a secure relationship with my children, so he's had them for 3 years. They're very happy with my sister and parents, and my sister and parents are great support, he replied. The judge told the couple that the most important consideration was the welfare of the children. He gave them joint guardianship and custody with primary care of the children remaining with the father. He gave the woman access from Friday at 3 p.m. until Monday at 6 p.m. He also granted for every second week during the school holidays, and he also granted her every second week during the school holidays and said that they could swap midterm breaks. Judge Murphy concluded by saying that the court would look at custody and access again in a year's time. Why? Why would you look at it again? I don't understand that. I don't want to hear, unless there's, I guess if someone brings it to court again, that's one thing, but why would you look at it again without any initiation from the parents? I don't want to hear any fighting in the meantime as the girls are getting older, because that's hanging over you. Every year you have to go back into court and again prove that you're a good father. As the girls are getting older and they need a strong relationship with their mother, he said the judge. So he's really getting on to the father, that I think a strong relationship with the mother is the mother's job. That's not the father's job. She has a lot of work to do to build up trust with him again. She left him, she had the affair, she broke up the marriage. So she has a lot of work to do to regain the girl's trust. And the father's doing everything he can because he's allowing the kids to see the mother quite often, every single week, and the midterm breaks and all that kind of stuff. So he's certainly doing everything he can.
Oh, mother knows best, myths full of lies, a child's welfare being paramount is just a disguise for feminist supremacy, as all men must pay for the sins of their fathers. It's Mother's Judgment Day.